Social services with the largest budget in history for the country. The tourism minister optimistic about the country's rebound post-COVID-19, and Cabbage Beach vendors staging a protest this morning. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastien with your Jcn News for this Wednesday, June 16th. Thanks for staying with us. Debate in the House of Assembly on the 2021-2022 fiscal year plan nearing an end, with Social Services and Urban Development Minister Frankie Campbell making his contribution. The minister telling parliamentarians that he's presiding over the largest social services budget in the history of the Bahamas.
I started off with 42 million, went up to 60-something million. Today, Mr. Speaker, it's 80-point-something million.
Minister Campbell says his ministry is committed to the task at hand and expressed gratitude for landlords that exercised patience with regards to rental assistance. He adds that his team is assiduously working to resolve those issues. Minister Campbell also answers a question from the press this week concerning the overwhelming amount of social assistance funds spent in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic. To that, Mr. Campbell says this.
My response is and continues to be, we in the government are not focused on how long we can maintain and sustain this. We are focused on taking the necessary steps to bring the economy to a point where fewer and fewer and fewer persons will even need the assistance, and so the length of time to offer the assistance will not even be a question.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will close out the debate on the budget on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Meantime, Tourism and Aviation Minister Dionisio de Aguilar optimistic about the country's future and is confident that the Bahamian economy will get better and better as 2021 progresses. This as the minister made his contribution to the budget debate, touting the rebound of the country's #1 industry, tourism, following for the first time ever Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas home porting at the Nassau Cruise Harbor. 1,068 passengers and 918 crew flew into the Lynden Pinling International Airport to start their first cruise from the Bahamas on Saturday, after 15 months of there being no cruise ships at all.
Mr. Speaker, Royal Caribbean is going to operate these cruises that start in Nassau and end in Nassau for the next 3 months, through the middle of September, and will be joined by Crystal Cruises, which will start on July the 4th, who will operate for 5 months, through the beginning of November. All told, Mr. Speaker, I estimate that home porting will bring 30 to 35,000 cruise visitors to the Bahamas in 2021, and these 30 to 35,000 cruise visitors will probably spend approximately $50 million during their week-long stay in the Bahamas. With these estimates in hand, is home porting going to positively impact the lives of my beloved Freetown constituents? Absolutely. Is home porting going to positively impact the lives of my fellow Bahamians? Without a shadow of doubt. According to the tourism minister, 5.4 million cruise passengers came to the Bahamas in 2019, contributing nearly $100 million in head tax and almost $400 million directly into the hands of Bahamians and local businesses. Minister de Aguilar also touting that cruise passenger numbers are anticipated to increase 9% in 2022, ahead of where the numbers were in 2019, with work underway at the cruise port at Prince George Dock. Fees earned by the government from the port will increase from approximately $2 million each year to approximately $6 million, since the government will now receive the VAT on the passenger facility charge paid by each visitor to the port. So we're getting a new and expanded port. It won't cost the Treasury a dime. The port will be exclusively available to Bahamian small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. Ground transportation and excursion operators will benefit from better working conditions. The port will be managed, as it is right now, by an all-Bahamian team. The port will be funded primarily by Bahamians, and cruise passengers expected to use the port will increase. For example, in 2022, right now, the total amount of passengers expecting to use the port is 9% ahead of the total amount of passengers that used the port in 2019.
Now, as the minister spoke to his optimism, he also touted the government's travel health visa, noting that some 300,000 tourists have visited the country so far this year. In fact, the minister noted that in January, 22,000 visitors received health visas. In February, 30,000. In March, 64,000. April saw 68,000 visitors receive a health visa. And in May, some 110,000 visitors received a health visa. He added that visitor arrivals are increasing by leaps and bounds, 60% visiting the capital with 40% to the Family Islands. The Ministry of Finance extending the Special Economic Recovery Zone, or SERS, order to allow for the tax-free provision for eligible vehicles landed in the designated SERS areas before August 31st this year. The ministry in a statement says, consistent with the current SERS order, this would apply only to eligible vehicles that were purchased by May 1st. Vehicles purchased after May 1st, 2021 are not eligible for the concession. Minister of State for Finance, Senator Kwesi Thompson, says officials had to strike the right balance with providing the necessary assistance and being fiscally responsible with managing the government's purse. However, he says it's noted and accepted that there have been valid logistical concerns raised by several persons who had delays caused by operational challenges of the shipping agencies. He says the government has heard those concerns and decided to extend the landing date to August 31st, provided eligible persons in Grand Bahama and Abaco can demonstrate that the vehicles were purchased by May 1st. He further notes that if by chance a vehicle was purchased on or before the May 1st deadline, which was brought in between June 1st and today's date, and the full duty was paid, an individual would have otherwise been eligible. He or she will be entitled to a refund of the sums paid. Meantime, in response to the ministry's extension for those in the Special Economic Recovery Zone, Chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Senator Fred Mitchell, urging the government to ensure that all residents of Grand Bahama and Abaco who have letters of exemption issued before May 31st, 2021, be able to import vehicles duty-free for at least another year. Senator Mitchell contends that the order makes no sense since the extension order only applies now to vehicles purchased before May 1st, 2021. His statement continues that the government comes off as insensitive and insincere in dealing with this issue. People seeking tax relief have purchased and attempted to import these vehicles on that promise that all transactions conducted prior to May 31st, 2021 would be honored, and now vehicles purchased by those people who relied on the promise are now sitting in warehouses collecting dust and storage fees accruing to people who can barely afford to make ends meet, if at all. Senator Mitchell calls on authorities to act now to extend the order for at least another year. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.